We'll start with the yeah, it is. Sound is good. And YouTube is almost there. There's always some delays between YouTube and the live session. Yeah. And I think now it's all working in YouTube as well. Oh, good. Well, welcome everyone, and this is live number 194, and it's a live session where I'm going to be delivering the 15 minutes of free consulting that Bernardo Pasinatto, a mechanical engineer, he was the lucky winner of this session of the 15 minutes of free consulting during the workshop Engineer Journey 2024. And again, thank you very much for everyone that participated in the workshop. And I hope that you guys learned the whole process, how you can start your application as an engineer to become an engineer in Australia. And I look forward to be working with you as an engineer. Okay, so what I'll do, I will accept Bernardo's request to be in the live session, and he will do a quick introduction, and then we will start with the free consulting, and after that I'm going to be answering a few more questions. Okay, so hopefully that... How are you doing, Bernardo? All good? Yeah. It is hot. Yeah. Will you again, sorry? Can you introduce yourself and where are you from? Yes, I think. Yes, I think it's working.
Working.
How you doing, Bernardo? All good?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Bit hot today, but it's okay.
It is hot. Yeah. Where are you again, sorry? Can you introduce yourself and where are you from and what type of engineer? When did you come to Australia and why did you come to Australia?
Yeah. My name is Bernardo. I'm from Brazil, Rio Grande do Sul. I moved to Australia in 2019 with my wife. Yeah, she came to study general English for 6 months. And then when our visa was almost expired, we talked to an immigrant agent. So, yeah, I graduated as a mechanical engineer, but I didn't have experience as a mechanical engineer. I just had I worked just a few months in a company during my graduation.
Yeah.
And the agency says, okay, you graduated as a mechanical engineer, but you don't have much experience. So my wife, she would like to cook. So she said, oh, okay, there is the possibility she studied as a chef here, and graduated as a chef, and then you can validate your diploma, give some points to her, and this is the way. So yeah, we choose that way, and in 2021, I was my first time I got my PT. I got the minimum score, the 5 points each skills. I could validate that time, but I don't know why I didn't. But anyway, and then I did again the PT in 2022 because my wife she did it as well because we applied for graduate visa, so she did to do that, and I got a 6.5. My score was very good. So yeah, now I decided end of the year, said no, this year I will validate.
Now's the time.
Yeah, now is the time. I know, maybe just give points for my wife, but I know when I validate my diploma, I will have more opportunities, even if I don't have experience working as engineer, but I think I have more opportunities when I got validated my diploma.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. Yeah, it's never easy. Our life here as immigrants in Australia is never easy, but it's worthwhile. At least for majority of people, it is. Yeah.
So I already started to write something because I'm not good writer. So I started write like answer the 5 questions: what I did, how I did, where I did. So I start to write this, and then after I can, it's like when I write all this, I can just adjust and make some adjustments. Like for me, I think it's the best way is like this because I'm not a good writer. So
me too.
So I think for me it's that this is the best way to start to write something, because if I start, okay, I need to follow some steps, I know, but sometimes if I make some mistakes, I prefer when I have some ideas what to write, I write and then I adjust. That's it. I think for me it's the best way. This.
Yeah, it is. It is a good technique, especially because usually we tend to forget things. So it's important to keep notes, and that's what I keep saying to, and you'll see in the mentoring program, Bernardo, that you need to plan, you need to organize yourself. If you don't plan, if you don't organize, if you don't take notes, it's going to be much harder. But looks like you've started already taking notes and write few things, so which is really good. Is you will see that it will help you a lot to write a really good report. And obviously, with information from my classes that you'll see, you will be able to put everything in a way that it's kind of set up for success with Engineers Australia. So
my question is, because there are three paths I can follow to validate my diploma as a professional engineer, technical engineer, and associate engineer. You mentioned during the lives who doesn't have much experience like working as engineer, the best way is validate as a technical engineer using some projects doing during the graduation. I have a lot of projects. I'm already separated the projects. I can think we can write a good careers episode. So I'd like to know what's the difference if I apply like a professional engineer and technical engineer. There is a different like rights during the if you work in a company, you have different rights when you validate as a technique or a professional engineer, something like this.
Well, first of all, it is going to depend on the type of academic experience that you're going to describe. So if you use academic experience, but the activities, they are at the professional engineering level, you can apply as a professional engineer with your academic engineering experience.
Okay.
So if when you were studying, if you cannot really find an academic experience that is at the level of professional engineering, then is when you got to start thinking about if the experience that you're going to use is going to be as a technologist or is going to be as an associate. So if you obviously validate as professional engineer, when you look for jobs, and I don't believe it makes much difference if you, in terms of points for your wife, if you validate as professional or technologist or associate. I don't know if that's different or not. You probably still give the 5 points, probably. But then to find a job, it can be a little bit depending on the company, of course.
Okay.
Some companies, they will require, it's going to be written in the position description that you need to have a qualification equivalent to a 4-year degree in Australia, or equivalent to a Washington Accord degree, which is the bachelor degree, which is the professional engineer. The professional engineer is equivalent to a 4-year university study here in Australia. The technologist is equivalent to 3 years, and the engineering associate is equivalent to a 2-year qualification here in Australia. So some companies, they will be very specific, and they will put probably, depending if they don't have another engineer, etc., they may put that they need somebody with a qualification of a bachelor degree or equivalent to a professional engineer. However, sometimes you can apply, let's say, for example, as a technologist, as a starting pathway, even though you are an engineer, you can apply to as a technologist, so you can put your foot in the door and then get a job as a technologist. And that happens a lot. You apply for a lower level qualification because it's probably, then you have some advantage. Because when we, as overseas engineers, when we apply for an engineer position, we are competing with other engineers that are probably from Australia, engineers that are probably from the UK, engineers that have already Australian experience. So you ended up with some disadvantage. But when you apply, for example, as a technician or a technologist or as an assistant engineer, but you are a full professional engineer, then you have an advantage because you're applying, let's say, as a technologist. And you're applying with the other technologists. But in your resume, the companies can see that you are an engineer. So then you are in with advantage because you are applying for a technologist, but you actually can perform even as a professional engineer. So you have a competitive advantage. So, and that happens a lot. A lot of engineers, they get a job. I know engineers that they got a job even as a construction worker, for example, for civil engineers. And they start working as a laborer, doing construction. And then obviously the project managers and the companies, they saw that the guy or the girl, they were engineers, and they start making network relationships, etc. And then when there's opportunity to apply for as an engineer, they're already there. They know already the systems in the company. They know how things work. They've got some experience in projects, and then they can apply and get a job as an engineer. So, yeah, that saying that we have in Brazil as well, that we give one step behind to then advance 2 steps, that works here in Australia as well. So that could be a strategy. I myself, when I applied for jobs, I started applying for jobs at the level that I had in Brazil, which was a fairly high level. And nobody was calling me. So I ended up downgrading myself to get a job as an engineer. And it took a little bit longer, but I started then to get promoted. I was applying for other jobs and I was getting higher level jobs. And still, I'm not at the level that I was in Brazil. But yeah, because, you know, as overseas is always a little bit more difficult. You don't have that local knowledge. You don't have that local network. Your English, even though I'm here already for 19 years, but it's not the same as a native speaker. But I'm happy where I am. And I think that, you know, I'm here. We come to Australia for the quality of life. We didn't come here to be rich. Because, you know, here we get good money, but we spend a lot as well.
Yeah. True.
But for us was much more important the quality of life, safety, security, those sort of
Of
things.
course.
So,
Yeah. I agree.
but in your case, if you validate as an engineer, if you validate as a technologist, in my view, I think you need to pursue the way that's going to be easier for you to get a visa, a permanent visa.
Yeah.
And after you get a permanent visa, that's a different story.
Okay.
Because even if you validate as a technologist, after you get a permanent visa, you can start work as a technologist and you can start assisting another engineer. And then the engineer will be asking you to do engineering job. And then you can accumulate experience as an engineer. And later on, you can apply again and be recognized as an engineer. So, but then you have already a permanent visa. You'll be earning more money already because you're working as a technologist. And to be honest with you, the salary difference between the technologist and the engineer sometimes is not that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always advise engineers that you need to find the easiest way for you to get your visa.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. Oh yeah, but I'm an engineer. I'm so proud of myself. I don't want to become a technologist. A lot of people with very high pride, they still as international students.
Yeah.
They're not permanent residents. And you can get your permanent residency. You can kind of massage your ego a little bit later when you are permanent resident. So and there's nothing wrong with working as an associate or a technician or a technologist, because if you are in Australia in the longer term, like I said yesterday with Lara, or the day before, if you are here for the long term, you have another 40, 50, 60 years in Australia. Working 2-3 years as a technologist is not going to change your long-term plan.
Yeah.
So, here in Australia, I keep saying we need to have patience and persistence.
Yes.
And the two, they need to go together. Not just patience, not just persistence. You gotta have both. You gotta be persistent and you gotta be patient. If not, people will give up and they will go back to their home countries.
Yeah. It's important as well have network as well.
Yes, networking is really, really important.
Yes.
Obviously, if you know somebody in the company and there's a vacancy in that company, and then the person that you know say, I know a very good mechanical engineer. He's Bernardo. He's an immigrant as well, and he's a really hard worker. He's a good learner. He'll become an asset to the company. Well, at least you have a good chance at least to get an interview.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So that's why it's very, very important to have networking as well.
Yeah, I think the important way is address the right skills to complete the 70 skills you need to prove to the engineer Australia that you develop during your graduate or during your job or during 17.
Yeah, 16. Yeah, 1/6. Yeah.
1/6. Yeah.
So there are 16 competencies, and usually they kind of categorized one in like the fundamentals of engineering. The second category is the application of those fundamentals, and then the third category is your personal attributes. So there are 6 for the fundamentals, and then 4 for the application of those fundamentals, and then another 6 for your personal and professional attributes.
Okay. Yeah. When my finish project for graduate, I did this project in a company but that time was a volunteer job. They didn't pay me anything for that. I don't know, do I need to prove that I did this in that company, or doesn't matter because they didn't pay me for did this?
Yes, it's really important to have evidences. And you will see that there is one module in the mentoring that you will see there that I explain really well about competencies. But in a nutshell, what do they consider a person as competent? Here in Australia, a person to be competent, they need to demonstrate 3 pieces of evidence. One is the theoretical evidence.
Okay.
The second one is you saying that you actually did something. And the third piece of evidence is the confirmation from your supervisor.
Okay.
So how does it work with the validation then? Your theoretical evidence is your graduation. You studied at university, you graduated as an engineer, you got your certificate. So that is your theoretical evidence, which is the first piece of evidence. The second piece of evidence is going to be your reports, your career episodes, your CPD, and your summary statement, saying that where you say that you actually did this, you designed, you calculated, you did everything. So you saying that you did. So that is your second piece of evidence. And then the third piece of evidence is going to be your reference letter from your employer, your report, if you're using like a TCC or another subject from the university, or if you did a volunteer job, which was not your TCC, which was not your subject of a university, if it was a volunteer job, you will need to have something from the company that to state that you actually did what you're saying that you did. So yeah, it's really important to have the 3 pieces of evidence, because anybody can
you can continue.
can write that they did something. So Engineers Australia needs that third piece of evidence to confirm from somebody else that you actually did it.
Okay. Could be the professor because it was a supervisor.
It was a supervised, yeah. Usually Engineers Australia, they will ask sometimes if it was like a stage or internship. They may ask internship certificate. Some universities, they have an internship certificate. Others, they will ask the letter from the company, and others will ask, could be the letter from the professor because it was a supervised internship. And then the professor can then issue a letter from the university stating that Bernardo completed a supervised internship with the company, etc., 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 and he did this, and that.
Okay. I think it's my biggest question was this one that I asked you about the confirmation about what I did in the company, what I need to prove. But you said you can be the professor. I can talk to the professor.
Yeah, can talk to the professor or the coordinator, course coordinator. And it's quite valid.
Because I did the internship in that company in 2022, but it wasn't obligation until that time on my career, on my graduate, during my graduate. That one was, and it was very good that time. I stayed there for 6 months. I learned a lot. It was very good. I think maybe I can use this for 6 months. Prove that I work as an engineer for 6 months, maybe.
And then during the in our catch up, or even outside of catch up in the group, we can then have a little bit more discussion in more details about your experience there, and then we can check the suitability of that experience so you can write in your career episode.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
There's a question here.
That's all right. Do you have any other questions, or we'll read those questions probably a little bit later on? Yeah.
No, for me it was just some. That was my biggest question, but the rest is you explained very well during the sessions, live sessions. So yeah, it was everything okay.
Yeah. And you will see
I already read twice, 3 times, I think, the booklet to make sure it's everything okay.
Yeah.
So,
and you will see,
as you mentioned, it's not difficult, but we need to pay attention. Some steps is a bit tricky, but it's not difficult, as you said. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And you will see in the video classes that I explain in much more details. Because obviously in the free workshop, it's difficult for me to explain all the details about everything.
Yeah.
People will be sleeping. It's already a lot of content. It's already a very heavy content. But you'll see that in the video classes there, it's got a lot of fine details. It's really step by step.
Yeah, I already watched, I think, 1, 2 videos. Yes.
Oh, good.
Already watched. Yes.
All right.
Very good. Very good.
Okay. And you were a bit afraid, Bernardo, for the session to be in English, but there's nothing wrong with your English.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was a bit afraid about some terms. I think maybe I don't know how to explain, but it's okay.
Well, it happens to me as well. Sometimes I kind of, what's the word for that? Yeah, but that's normal. Yeah, you know, even Australians sometimes they forget the terminologies and so
I know.
normal. And and that's one thing that overseas people we are afraid. We are afraid to make mistakes. But majority of Australians, even though our English is not perfect, they admire our capability to speak at least 2 languages, because they know that they can understand what we're talking about. Obviously, we work and we can express ourselves, we can communicate ourselves. So, and they really they admire us because we speak another language. We speak Portuguese and English, and a little bit of Spanish if we kind of pretend that we speak Spanish. So we have our fear, but we don't need to have.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right. No, thank you very much, Bernardo, for your time.
Thank
for
you.
Your questions, and certainly it helped others as well. And I look forward to seeing you in our video classes and in our catch-up, not next week or this weekend, because this weekend is going to be holidays, Australia Day. But we're probably going to do our live catch-up the weekend after.
Okay.
All right.
Appreciate your time and support. And the live session was very good. Those 3 days, and you explained a lot. It was very for who was thinking about validate the diploma. I think was very very good. Who participated the live session. I think a lot of people joined the program. Yeah, I think there's I don't know, but I think yes, I think there's a lot of people that who enjoy the program, and I think now I'm ready to validate my diploma now.
Yeah, maybe because in my validation formal mentoring, I have already 34 students that got validated, and you could be number 35.
Of course.
Fingers crossed.
Yes, I will be.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
All right, then. Now, thank you very much, Bernardo.
Thank you, Gerson. All the
All
best.
right, we'll catch.
And
All
we
right.
talk the
Okay.
next session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a very good week. Yeah. Yes, and that was Bernardo Pasinatto, a mechanical engineer from Brazil. He's from the south region, similar to me. I'm from Paraná State, in the south as well. Yes, and I will be answering some questions now. So I'll just have a look here. If you have questions, you can obviously put in the comments there. And I will be answering some questions that I've received during the free workshop as well. So Leo C025 is asking, hi, I would like to ask if, based on your experience, will Engineers Australia confirm your projects in career episode in company? Yeah, well, I haven't heard because obviously they don't tell if they're going to check or not. But if you are going to use a work experience, it's really important that when you provide a reference letter, the contact details of the person who is signing the letter is up to date. Because if they ring or email the person and the contact details are not updated, they're probably going to ask you to organize a new reference letter. Okay. There's a question in YouTube, Ramath. Yeah, welcome back, Ramath. Working in inspection field, how can we get EA approval? Do I need to apply as technologist? Yeah, the inspection, certainly the inspection is not really, depends on the type of inspection, of course. For example, in my profession as a civil engineer or structural engineer, there are some types of inspections, let's say structural inspections, that can be done by a structural engineer. In that case, because you are using engineering knowledge, engineering fundamentals, and then doing calculations, etc., as part of your inspection work, that one there is classified as a professional engineer because you are providing professional engineering services. However, if the inspection is, for example, if the job is following the technical standard, or if the project is following a prescribed standard, so that particular lower level inspection, that could be probably classified as technologist. So obviously, that's going to depend on the type of inspection and what did you do with that inspection as well. Sometimes you inspect, and then the result of the inspection, you ended up applying engineering knowledge to come up with the solution. So in that case, it potentially could be classified as a professional engineer level. All right. So I will just open some of the questions. So while you guys think about more questions, we'll be opening some of the questions that are received. And then for those ones that are missed out on the Validation Formula online mentoring program, the enrollments are already closed. When I am going to do another one, so I'm planning to do another workshop, the free workshop that Bernardo was talking about, that was very informative. I'm planning to do another workshop in probably mid-March. And this one, I'm going to do, and sorry for those ones that don't speak Portuguese, but I had so many requests from my Brazilian audience to have a workshop just in Portuguese that I decided that the next edition of the workshop is going to be in Portuguese. So if you are from Brazil, if you are from Portugal, if you speak Portuguese, even if you speak Spanish, perhaps you can understand, the workshop is going to be in Portuguese. If I ended up getting a lot of complaints because it was just in Portuguese, not in English, I may do another one soon after in April, then in English again. But I will keep doing in English. It's just the March event. It's going to be a special edition just in Portuguese, okay? All right, so some questions that I received in the Survey Monkey. Some of you guys answered the Survey Monkey that I sent in the confirmation registration email, and some of the questions here. The first question here, how to write the career episodes. It's a very short question, but the answer is really long. So I'll try to summarize. For the career episodes, you've got to write 3 career episodes, and they need to be based on your engineering experience, either academic or work experience. Each career episode needs to be obviously from your own experience. You need to write with your own words. Also, it can be a project, an engineering project, an engineering task, an engineering problem, or an engineering function that you occupied. And how to write it? Pretty much it's got 4 sessions. The first one is your introduction, where you're going to give a little bit of information about your career episode, where it happened, when it happened, and then a background information. You're going to give the reader the background information in terms of the organizational chart, the types of activities that were involved, who was involved with it, and what were your functions in that project. And then you will move to your personal engineering activity, which is the body of the career episode. And that's in the body of the career episode that you're going to talk, what did you do, how did you do, what engineering, judgment, and knowledge and fundamentals you applied. You're going to introduce professional evidences like tables, photos, diagrams, calculations, formulas, etc. And then you finish your career episodes with a summary, just to demonstrate that you have achieved the objectives that you set up in the background. And always in the first person. It's very important that you write your career episodes in the first person. It's always in the past. Another question here, how can I support my experience since I have been in Australia and I have not worked as an engineer? That's a good question. And again, Engineers Australia does not require you to work, to have experience as an engineer. You can validate your engineering qualification just using your academic engineering experience. Why is that? Because the validation process is to make sure that your overseas qualification is equivalent to an Australian qualification. So they're not evaluating your work experience. They're evaluating your academic competencies and your academic knowledge. Another question here, what's the first step? The first step is to watch my videos. No, I'm joking. The first step is for you to read the booklet, the Engineers Australia booklet. Engineers Australia has a PDF document, how to prepare your migration skills assessment application. And that is your first step. You need to write the booklet, as Bernardo said, he read already 3 times. You need to read 5, 10 times so you can understand really well what is needed. So that is your first step. Another question here that they're asking if the validation has an expiry date. No. Once you get your validation, it does not expire. Oh yeah, Gerson, but I heard that after 3 years, the immigration doesn't accept the validation anymore. They do. What they don't accept is the date of the letter. So that's an immigration requirement, that your letter needs to be less than 3 years. I don't know if they change or not, but usually 3 years. So if your letter of your validation has more than 3 years, what you need to do, you need to write to Engineers Australia saying that I have been validated this date and I need an updated letter. And then they will reply to your email. They're going to explain what you need to do and how much you have to pay. And then they will issue a new letter with the obviously updated date. It's not that you have to do everything again. You don't need to do everything again. You just need to get a new letter. Just conscious of time, I will just probably answer another couple of questions. Yeah, this question here, and it's literally written like this. I beg to have a one-on-one session with you about these questions. The person sent me 3 questions, and the person literally wrote, I beg to have a one-on-one session with you about these questions. Unfortunately, I don't do one-on-one sessions. I don't do individual consultings. I don't do one-on-one consulting. You see that even free consulting I do in a live session in my own free time, because I want the information to be shared with as many people as I can. If I do a one-on-one, first the person will have to pay a lot of money because it's not going to be for free. 2, I don't have time. I have some time now because I put aside some time to do these free live sessions, all for free for you. So if you want a one-on-one, the best that you can do is when I do my workshops, when I offer the free consulting, just do the tasks, complete the tasks, and if you're lucky, like Bernardo, like Lara, like Guilherme, you will get the 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever it takes, with me a one-on-one, but you will have to share the information with others, because I want to use my time and the answers that I'm going to give to share with as many people as I can. Okay? Or if you really want a one-on-one session with me, you have to be my student. If you are my online mentoring student, as you heard from the chat with Bernardo, not this week, but next week, I'm going to have 1.5 hours with my students, and they can ask questions, etc., etc., etc. So it's a time that they have with me. So if you really want a one-on-one session with me, you have to be my student as well. The other question came from a Brazilian because it's in Portuguese, but I'll translate. What's the possibility of me validating my qualification, even though I never worked in that area in Brazil? As I said before, even if you never have worked in your area, you can still validate your qualification using your academic engineering experience. So obviously you need to have good academic engineering experience, okay? And the last question, how long does the process usually takes? It's not specified which process, if it is your process of preparing the documentation or the process of Engineers Australia assessing your application. So in terms of you preparing the documentation, writing your reports and everything, if you dedicate about 5, 6, 7 hours a week, you're probably going to be able to finish all your reports and your documentation in about 3, 4 months. And then let's say that you have your English test already, and then you pay the fee, you apply. It can take between 8, 10, 12 weeks with Engineers Australia in a standard application. If you want quicker, you need to apply fast track, which is another $350 or so. And then Engineers Australia will complete your assessment in about 4 weeks or 1 month. So obviously the time frame varies because depending on obviously how busy the Engineers Australia assessors they are. But from what I hear from my students, the last one, Jari, he got his result in 30 days. All right. So I think that's about time tonight. I'm planning a live session probably next week about workplace health and safety. I'm getting few questions about how can people work as workplace health and safety advisor or officer in companies here. This question came from a Brazilian workplace health and safety technician, and it's a very common question. So I may do a live session instead of replying to her in a one-on-one in a message. I think it's got a lot of value if I share the information in terms of a workplace health and safety. How can you get a job as a workplace health and safety officer? What are the qualifications that you need, and some of the differences probably between there and here. Not that I know about there, but the person can give me examples how it happens there, and then I can say how it happens here. All right? So keep attention, and if you like the live session, hit the like button. It doesn't cost you anything. It motivates me to keep going, and obviously it helps Instagram to distribute this content to more engineers. And if you're still not following me, I certainly ask you to consider following my profile and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I have more than 310 videos that I talk about how to become an engineer in Australia and how to get a job as an engineer here in Australia. Okay? Thank you, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.